Are you someone who thrives on strategy and you like a system and routine? Well, you're really going to like this episode because we're talking about strategic manifesting. You're listening to Ariana Rollins, and this is Mindful Manifesting. So what do I mean by strategic manifesting? Kind of sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Because manifesting is have a vision, have an image, and allow it to gently come to you. No pressure, no forcing, right timing, right action. Yes, and. Okay. So how I see strategic manifesting is that you're working with a system. You're working with a system. And that when you follow the system, just like any good engineer knows, when you design, or any business owner, standard operating procedures, they work. You follow the first step, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and you get the right outcome, just like an engineer. I remember, this is a funny little story, then we'll get back to it. My mother had the best cat. His name was Gigo. I'll tell you what that means in a moment. Gigo was huge. I don't know, he must have been like 20 pounds. So when he sat on your lap, it was like this heavy blanket. Oh, I cried when Gigo passed. Anyway, she called him Gigo because it was garbage in, garbage out. So like any engineer knows that what you're putting into the system is what you're going to get out, just like any programmer. So you need, in a way, to be conscious, aware, and following at least some kind of strategy or some kind of system so you can have replicatable results, that you know what works and what doesn't. One of the things that can be frustrating is that we get this big win. And I don't know, maybe we get this new client and the client's just in our sweet spot, doesn't feel like work at all. It's just time flies. We're energized after the client. And not all clients are like that, right? And you're just in heaven. They paid in full and they're with you for 3 months. And you're like, more of these, please. More of these clients, please. Oh, yes. I would like to experience more successes like that. But it seems as though, it's not like that. So there's this hit and miss that you get this great, like we talked about last episode, I think it was episode 140 about synchronicity, coincidences, and manifesting. You get this synchronicity, this win, this success. And part of your brain, if you're like me at all, you're like, what did I do? It can almost go into superstition. Oh, I know, I did. Dr. Joe tuning into New Potentials meditation last week for 3 times. I know, that's it. No, I know, it was because I went to bed early. Oh, no, I know, I was doing the pranic breath yoga 3 times last week. So our brain tries to not unravel, that's not the right word, but to make sense of things when bad things happen too, right? We do that. What did I do? How did I cause this? Was I driving in, carelessly? Is that why the accident happened? Our brain looks for reasons, looks for patterns. I mean, that's one of the things they do in early childhood intelligence tests, right? This goes with this. Recognize the thing. So it's like cup, saucer, tea kettle, tea bag, tank. Well, what's the odd word out? We know it's tank. That's a sign of intelligence. We look for patterns, we look for groupings, and that's fantastic because it helps us put things together. It helps us learn faster. It helps us be more efficient and more effective because we recognize, oh, yeah, that goes with that. Ignore that. That's not relevant. Perfect. Tank out of the way. So when we're talking about strategic manifesting, and the way I would say most manifesting is taught is it's about nothing wrong with it at all. It's having a sense, a vision of what you want, and maybe you rate it. I mean, a lot of manifesting systems out there don't even do that. And then you send it out to the universe. Then, a lot of systems don't even have you check in. Do I have any messages? Do I have any blocks? Is there any resistance to what I've asked for? That's what I'm talking about with a system. You know what to do. You know step by step, almost like SMART goals. But we've talked about SMART goals before. I don't ideally like them because they're kind of, I think they're made for a typical brain, not a neurodivergent brain. And they are meant for kind of keeping you on track as project management. I've talked about that. I think it was in the last episode. But there is something valuable about the SMART goals because we're talking about, is it measurable? Is there a specific time frame that you want to see it in? And, is it something really meaningful? So I can't remember the first one. Measurable. Oh my goodness. So sorry, everyone. I should have more cue cards in front of me. So when we're talking about strategic manifesting, we're going to borrow some of those SMART goal tips. Because if we have a sense of a time frame, when we know when we want this to happen, now you're thinking, what? Manifesting? We can actually set a time frame? Oh yeah. That's what I really enjoy teaching in my programs, is that you get a sense clearly what you want to experience. You're measuring it in terms of desirability and difficulty. If you've been listening to the podcast for more than a minute, you know I do that a lot. So let's play with it. Think about something that you want to bring into your life. An intention, a goal, something you want to manifest, something you want to create. Maybe it's, let's say, a new car. This is just an easy one. And you've got a sense of what you want. You've been looking. So, specific. Thank you, smart brain. S is for specific. Okay. So you write it down. Okay, I want bright yellow. And it's let's see what it's going to be. I rented a car when I was last traveling. It's called a Nissan Kicks, Kicks. Cute little car. It's kind of like a very small, not very powerful SUV. It's tiny. It's not even high up, but it's cute. It's cute. I liked it. So, okay, we want a Nissan Kicks. We want it to be 2020 or newer. We want it to have mileage of 30,000 miles or less. We want it to be one owner. We want the price to be $10,000 or less. Are you starting to see the specificity here? You're getting very nitty-gritty, very granular, very detailed. And once you've got that, you would then create what language in my work, a subsidiary target or subsidiary objective. So we would have details of bright yellow car. An example in your mind, you've experienced that. Car with 20 or 30,000 miles or less. You've experienced that. So you have the memories, my friend, memories that back up the criteria that you want for that car. Now, some people, you might be right now like, oh my gosh, Ariana, this is too much work, too much detail. Is it? Wouldn't you like it to have more automated manifesting, set it and forget it? Not that it's completely forgotten, because one of the steps is to check in. Do you have any messages? Do you have any resistance to receiving it? And that's super important because it gives you the opportunity to make space, to move out I don't use this very often, but limiting beliefs, blocks, anything that is preventing that which you want to manifest from coming into you. So identifying the blocks is a key thing in making things happen with grace and ease. Super key. So checking in daily. So we've got it specific, Measurable, you know when you get the car, right? There's a specific time frame, and of course, I forgot A and R for right now, but brain will probably come up with it in a minute. So if you do thrive with system, I definitely am a systems gal, and I noticed that, just a random little thing, that I placed my Berkey filter near the sink so I can stretch the water hose that goes into the sink to gently place it on top of the Berkey filter. And so while it's filling up, I can just kind of tidy around the kitchen and I check in. Oh, it's filled. Great. So for me, that's a system. Saves me time. And in essence, that's what we're talking about with strategic manifesting. Saves you time. Is more efficient, more effective. You can rely upon it. And if you don't manifest it by that specific time frame, guess what? There's a debugging process, just like an engineer would do. Debug their system. Why didn't it work? What I put in should have produced this, and this is the output I should have got, right? Any programmer would do something like that. So there's a debugging process at the end where you are checking in. Did I miss a message? Did I have a blocker that I didn't clear? Was the difficulty, I didn't talk about difficulty, I'll do that in a moment, was the difficulty beyond a 10? Was the desirability not a 10? So here's two key things. Getting back to this strategic manifesting, detail, really making good choices, getting very clear on what you want. Desirability, super important. So get back to the yellow Nissan Kicks car. Okay. Desirability. Maybe I could only get the desirability up to a 7. I was like, okay, what's with that? I thought I got all the detail in there. Oh no, I want the top of the line. I've got a Subaru Forester and it's a touring edition. Oh yeah, that's what I want. I want the better speakers, the better seats. I don't even know if Nissan does that. But anyway, so if my desirability is not a 10, usually there's something missing in it. And we don't think, do we, when we're manifesting, if something's desirable. But the value of thinking that way and planning and strategizing is you get what you want, what you truly want. Not like, oh, it's missing this piece. If you've ever been in a relationship or got married and it didn't last, you know what I mean. You want to know what's in the tin. You want to know what the person's like. Are you compatible? And there is actually, little side note, a perfect, quotes around it, partner process that is quite remarkable. So talk about strategic manifesting. You could use something like that to actually get into nitty-gritty detail what it is that would bring the greatest fulfillment to your life in terms of partnership. And you get the opportunity to grow yourself too, because the resistance, the blocks to attracting the caliber partner you want, guess what? They're not out there. They're in you. They're in you. Maybe there's something from the last partnership that you need to resolve. So strategic manifesting is basically step-by-step system. I really like the forms that I've created that they enable you to follow the step-by-step. So the first question on the form is, what do you want? What do you want to create, do, be, have? Just a simple sentence. And then we flesh it out in more detail, okay? Asking ourselves, why do we want it? Right? It's got to be deeply connected with your heart to bring it. Because if you think about it, and this is quoting a Dr. Joe quote, is your thoughts, right? You're sending the thought out there with your brain, but your heart is the magnetic receiving part. So why you want it, how you feel about it is super important. So strategic manifesting is using a step-by-step system. It's measurable, right? We have specific time. It's specific. And yes, brain, you forgot the other two. And then you can debug it at the end. You can see, did I miss an aspect that was super important? Because it can be a lifesaver to not manifest something that's not good for you. Have you ever done that? And you look back, you say, wow, I'm really glad that house didn't close. I found out later through the agent there was mold. We've all had experiences like that. But without that feedback loop and that debugging, maybe we wouldn't know about the moldy house, but I bet we would, because we would have done the exercise and we would have figured out that there was something wrong with the house. Maybe we wouldn't know it was mold, but we didn't feel comfortable in it. All right? Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and I invite you, if you're liking this, go get your Kickstart Your Manifesting Journey at mindfulachiever.com. It's completely free. There's a guided meditation in there. And yes, there are questions for you to ask and a little form to fill out. Strategic manifesting, so much fun. So much fun. Consistent results on your time frame. And as we wrap up, remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. So much love. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.